What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Pip, and we are here to talk about more Money in the Bank. If you missed it, we did a video that came out yesterday talking about 10 people that I think would make good Mr. Money in the Banks. Yes, I know I'm wearing the same outfit. No, it's not because I'm dirty. It's because I've recorded these both back to back, so please calm down. But in yesterday's video, we talked about 10 people that I thought would be good Mr. Money in the Banks. Right now, we talked about some honorable mentions. Today, we're going to talk about women's Money in the Bank options on who would make a good Miss Money in the Bank. Right now, we do have honorable mentions. Yesterday, we had 6. Today, we have 6. And then we will get into our top 10. So let's hop right into it with our 6 honorable mentions. Now, I will say for our honorable mentions and for our actual list for the women's side, this was a little bit more difficult. We have far less believable world champion contenders in the women's side of the roster on the main roster that have never held world title gold. And I wanted to do this just like I did with the men's side, talking about non-former WWE women's and women's world heavyweight champions. I think Money in the Bank should be for non-former champions. Now, obviously, that does not include former world champions from other companies. So, that being said, our honorable mentions today, I did have to dive into the NXT roster quite a bit, but I also decided to dive into the TNA roster a little bit. Yesterday's video for the men, we talked about Vikingo from AAA. Why not talk about WWE's other partner company, which is TNA? So I've got 2 people from TNA in the honorable mention section. I've got Rosemary and I've got Tessa Blanchard. Now, all right, calm down. I hear you guys sharpening your pitchforks already. I don't think that Tessa Blanchard should win, but I think she would make a good Miss Money in the Bank. She just would. It is perfect for her character. But while you guys started sharpening those pitchforks, you made it blatantly clear that just like most people, you are not ready to sit here and accept Tessa Blanchard as an option. No one should be yet. She has not finished washing some of that stink off of her name. With all of that drama, it is going to take some time. I said this back during the Royal Rumble when I was talking about potential surprise appearances. I said Tessa Blanchard could be a name, but shouldn't yet. I stand by that for Money in the Bank. But if she can finish clearing her name up and redeeming herself and earning back people's trust and affection and whatnot, she could, in the future, make a great Miss Money in the Bank. Her gimmick is perfect for it. The other name I said was Rosemary. I think Rosemary is one of the most trusted women in all of TNA. I think she's one of the most beloved women in all of TNA. She has repeatedly appeared on NXT. WWE clearly has some kind of respect for her because she has been trusted to win matches on NXT. She is a valuable asset and could make a wonderful, spooky, creepy Miss Money in the Bank. I'll move on. Some other honorable mentions. Also from NXT, I've got Thea Hale. I think she's that perfect underdog, scrappy character. I think she'd be really fun, but I do think she needs a little bit more experience. So not quite yet, but maybe next year or the year after, she could be a great option. Also in NXT, I've got JC Jane. I think her character, with Fatal Influence behind her, she's got this kind of team leader, sassy character that could be perfect for Miss Money in the Bank. But I just don't know if they look at her as anything above a mid-card champion. So it'll take more time to see, and I kind of need her to get to the main roster for me to really know how they feel about her. We talked about yesterday the great option of Bronson Reed, but his injury being something that holds him back. Something on the women's side that I feel is also prevalent, because I think there is someone who is injured on the women's side that would be a perfect Miss Money in the Bank, and that is Kiana James. It is literally the personification of her gimmick. She is this businesswoman, CEO, rich, Devil Wears Prada kind of character, and what could you possibly ask for out of a Money in the Bank holder than that? And then the last honorable mention I have, I think she will be a Money in the Bank holder one day. I think she will be one of the faces of this company one day in terms of the women's division, but just not right now. She's holding 2 championships, neither of which on the main roster. She is your current women's speed champion and current women's North American champion, Sol Ruca. They love her in NXT. I think she's phenomenal. She has a very flashy finisher. She just won that North American Championship in a multi-woman ladder match, mind you. She is, in my opinion, a future Miss Money in the Bank, just not yet. Now let's get into our top 10. We did have to pull from NXT a little bit with this, but for the most part, I have main roster people. We'll talk about it. From NXT at number 10, I've got Jordynne Grace. I think that she is not long for the NXT roster. I think that she could be a great, for lack of a better term, juggernaut in a women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And she would be the perfect example of somebody who would say, I'm using this and cashing in. Here's when I'm cashing in. Get ready. Have a preset match. She could be the first woman to do that. And I think she'd be brilliant. I think the only thing stopping her from being a great option this year is she's still in NXT. So let's talk about basically the main roster version of Jordynne Grace. At number 9, I've got Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill, just like Jordynne Grace, could be a brilliant, strong woman to dominate the women's women's Money in the Bank ladder match and walk out as the briefcase holder, and then do that pre-announced cash in and make a statement. I think the thing holding Jade Cargill back is she still doesn't have too much experience. I think she's really only had maybe 5 singles matches since she's debuted in WWE. Maybe a handful more. Not enough. She's mostly been in tag team matches. She still has a lot to learn. I just don't know if she's quite ready for something that has the pressure of Money in the Bank that people are constantly ridiculing every time you do something poorly booked. So I just don't know if she's quite there yet. At number 8, I have a I have a person who has a brilliant character for Money in the Bank. NXT's Jada Parker. I think she is almost, for the reasons I talked about why Kiana James should win, Jada Parker is everything I said on the opposite side of the coin. She is that, that street level, everyday, dealing with the bullshit of regular life and trying to make your way out of it kind of character that would be perfect to say, now I'm out of it. Now I've got what I need to leave. This briefcase means I made it kind of character. So I think Jada Parker would be a brilliant Money in the Bank holder, but I do think she has more stuff to do in NXT that's holding her back. I think that's the one thing that's stopping her. I do think she needs to win a title in NXT and show how she works as a champion, with people coming after her instead of her going after people, because lately she's acted more like a hitman and less like a target. At number 7, I have your Women's United States Champion, Zelina Vega. They're finally giving her some love and a push and some respect. She's no longer being bogged down by this horrible current iteration of the LWO. She's not associated with LDF anymore. She's finally on her own for the first time in a long time, and she just won the Women's U.S. Championship. She's super talented. She's a great character. She's a great mic worker. So I don't see any reason why she couldn't be Miss Money in the Bank. I just think the one thing holding her back, and it's going to be weird to say this because of what I'm about to talk about next, but I think it's the fact that she is the Women's U.S. Champion. I think they're going to want her to focus on that, and I don't think they look at her as somebody that can split her time between the two. It's ironic that I say that because at number 6, I have your Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, who I do have above Zelina Vega because I think they look highly of her. I just do. I think they look at her in better light than they do Zelina Vega. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't. Lyra Valkyria is insanely talented. She really is. And this recent feud with Becky Lynch has finally made her interesting as a character. She's always been interesting in the ring. She's always been immensely talented, but her character work has been very subpar. This recent feud with Becky has made her suddenly an actual hot commodity for, potentially the main event scene. So I do have her slightly above Zelina Vega, but I still have her lower because she is your women's mid-card champion. And I do think in the women's division, there are not enough people to be putting all of your eggs in one basket. I just don't think that there's enough around for them to do that and say, oh, if it doesn't work, we can just fall back on somebody else immediately. So I do think they have to build other stars while they can. Which brings me to number 5, somebody that has gotten a little bit more love over the last year. Not enough, in my opinion, but at number 5, I got Candice LeRae. She is one of the most talented women's wrestlers they have on their roster. She does not get the love and respect she deserves, but she was your speed champion for a little while, which I know doesn't mean anything. We all know that. But she's been in the, you know, she's been in the picture because of her partnership with Nia Jax, her feuds with other people. I will say she hasn't been on TV in a little while. I don't know where she's been. I hope she's not injured. If she is, then she is far too high on this list. But I didn't find any information on why she hasn't been on TV other than she just hasn't been on TV. And I think her character, that small, scrappy, that whole poison pixie concept of her would make great for Money in the Bank. At number 4, I have somebody that feels a lot like Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace in they could be a dominant fixture in that Money in the Bank ladder match, but they're a heel, which makes them a way better choice, and that's Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile of American Made, she is, people calling her a pit bull is not a joke. She is a little tank. And I think that she would be brilliant for Money in the Bank, having that small, underestimated, but insanely strong, scrappy character being Money in the Bank. It'd be brilliant. So I've got Ivy Nile at 4. The only thing holding her out of our top 3 is I think they might not want Ivy Nile to overshadow everything going on with the rest of American Made right now. So unless the Creed brothers can grab those tag titles soon and Chad Gable wins men's Money in the Bank, which is something I may or may not have talked about in the other video. You'd have to go watch to find out. I just don't see it because of that, but I think she would be a brilliant Miss Money in the Bank. Now, our top 3. I think all 3 of these women are actual legitimate contenders, and I think that these are probably your top 3 contenders, legitimately, not just in my opinion of why they'd be good, but actual potential to win. At number 3, I have Roxanne Perez. She has been the face of NXT women's wrestling for the better part of 2-3 years. She has been the workhorse of the women's division for the past several months, appearing on NXT, appearing on Raw. It feels like they finally gave her main roster call up, and I definitely feel like they're going to strap the rocket to her back. She has so much time left in her career. She's so young. I'm pretty sure Roxanne Perez is only like 23. So she's insanely young to be as experienced as she is in pro wrestling. But I think that also works against her for right now because the other 2 people I have at top 2 have been in the business a much longer, therefore have less time to make themselves this, crazy Money in the Bank winner. Which is why at number 2, I have a bit of a cheat code. She is a former world champion in WWE, but not the women's championship, not the world championship. She was the SmackDown champion a long time ago. She has a brand new gimmick. She's a brand new character. It's a bit of a cheat code. It really is, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Naomi. This doesn't feel like the same Naomi that won a world title 8 years ago. Most people don't even remember she won it, and that's why this would actually feel fresh and new. She's the one person on this list that is technically a former world champion in WWE, but it wouldn't feel like a former world champion winning Money in the Bank. When you had guys years ago like Randy Orton, John Cena, last year, Drew McIntyre, people that have been world champion and could easily just say, I'm a former world champion, I deserve a shot. Naomi isn't one of those. She's not somebody that we look at and say, she's a former world champion. She could be in that picture anytime she wants. That's not how we see her. Just like Natalia. We don't see Natalia as a former world champion. We see her as a long-term workhorse. We see that for Naomi too. So I know that I said I wanted to do nothing but non-former world champions, but this version of Naomi is so new that she doesn't feel like a former world champion. She feels like a future world champion, if that makes sense. And God, would she be a brilliant Miss Money in the Bank. This current version of Naomi would be perfect for Miss Money in the Bank. But not as perfect as our number one choice. The person we all thought might win last year and definitely should win this year. It's Chelsea Green. We all know Chelsea Green deserves it. We all know Chelsea Green should win it. Her character's perfect. Her work is perfect. Her gimmick's perfect. She is genuinely perfect for Miss Money in the Bank. And if Chelsea Green doesn't win it this year, I'm going to be really upset. She just should. So that's my list. Let me know what you guys think. I know I had a little bit of a cop-out moment with Naomi, but y'all can't tell me I'm wrong that she doesn't feel like the same person as before. Y'all can't tell me I'm wrong. And if you want to try, please tell me in the comments. And please go check out yesterday's video talking about men's Money in the Banks. I promise there's no cop-outs in that one. Let me know what you guys think about both of them. Let me know if you guys want to see anything else, maybe something like 10 former women's champions that could be Money in the Bank. I'll leave Naomi out of that one, I promise, since we put her in this one. But that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to the most for Money in the Bank, who you want to win on both sides of it. And with all that being said, as always, I'm Pip. Y'all the greatest, and when in doubt, we'll see you next time. See ya!